Oh, nice. Thank you, Darcy.
We ready?
We are.
Okay. Well, then we will open the street committee meeting at 4:03 today. And we have one item on the agenda, which is Douglas Street updates.
Okay, so I gave you a little section of the map of Douglas Street, which shows the Triangle Park. And basically, I think what I was trying to show you was the Triangle Park and the Gustav, owned by Fred Berry. Day before yesterday, I called Mr. Berry because I was informed that there were some posts on Facebook that said that Gustav was opposed to us extending the park because that's where their food truck drops off and that they would lose some parking. So I called him and he was very surprised to hear that he did not want this Triangle Park extended. He said, and he asked a couple people in his office that were there, and they don't know where this rumor came from. So I'm really glad I called him, because as you can see, on the side by the Gustav, which is that, it shows a sidewalk there. The engineer, Jordan, had gone through and without extending the park, that we would extend the sidewalk and put a little fence there. And anyway, it was an alternative to extending the Triangle Park. But after talking to him, he's very much in favor of it. So I feel that we'll go forward with the original plan that was in our downtown plan, and you have a picture of that in your packet. I mean, it won't probably look exactly like that. I'm not too crazy about that tunnel. I think a kid will go in there and you'll have a hard time making him come out. So anyway, but it will be more green space, and that little street there will be abandoned. So Mr. Berry did say the only issue he would see is if someone was coming down Mead Avenue and wanted to get to Clow Street, they wouldn't be able to turn until at the library there to go to get onto Clow Street, that street that runs along the river. So I mean, that is an access point that we are shutting off there by closing that off. But I still think there's lots of parking over at the courthouse parking lot if people need more parking. And this is all part of our downtown plan to try to direct more traffic toward the Bell Street Bridge. And I did meet, Frank and I met with Angie Hagan and Jamie McMillan. They're part of this revitalized Glendive. And so they want to work with the city with this big grant that the chamber is getting to try to direct more people toward the Bell Street Bridge. One of the plans that they have is to put some benches on the Bell Street Bridge. Another idea is to put some giant swings on the Bell Street Bridge. I think they're moving forward with that, but we don't own the bridge. We don't control that. So that is up to the commissioners if they give approval. We just own up to the entrance there of the Bell Street Bridge. And then they would like us to do some more beautification by the water treatment plant this spring and summer. I think the water treatment plant looks good, but not everybody appreciates a large, huge monolith there. And I know that it could use some landscaping because they cut down a lot of the trees that were there. And
who wants us to do those updates?
What's that?
Who wants us to do those
The
updates?
revitalized Glendive.
We could throw a couple trees off that. Was that last grant in Arbor Day?
Yeah, and we still have some money left over from that. And Their plan is to do some, upgrades of the old GTA building around there. They did contact, the art teacher at the high school who might be able to do a painting on there, which I think would be beautiful, but I can't imagine how you get all the way up there. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring that forward, that we're moving forward with those plans. We're gonna change some of the crosswalks down there. We're gonna repave all that because, a lot of people are griping about it right now, and it is terrible. That's where we did all the water line replacements last summer, and we just didn't see the point of paving it if we're just gonna tear it up to make a green space. And we'll be doing some new curbs and gutters, and I think it's going to look really nice. So that's some money that we have from a grant and some other money that we've put aside from gas tax. So that's the plan, at least as far as I know it. I'm sure if Frank was here, he could explain a lot more about this project, but you have a question? Yes, Rhett?
Well, no, and I'm not against the idea, but I just wanted to throw out what I recollect, which was when they did the downtown master plan. From what I remember, this was just an example of things that could be done. So there wasn't a whole lot of thought that had gone into closing off Bell Street.
Mhm.
It was just an example. And so I just want to make sure that if we choose to go forward with that, that it's something that is well thought out and that we make sure that we want to close off.
And I guess what I need to make clear, and I'm probably not explaining myself very well, is we're not closing off Bell Street. We're just interrupting the flow of it there a little bit. So like if you're coming down Douglas Street from the bridge, you can still turn on to Douglas Street and go down to Cloud Street. But if you're coming down Mead or coming down Bell, then, that triangle will stop you right there. And then you'll go on to Douglas and then you can turn and go. So I did call Shane Mintz about it because I was told that we would have to do a traffic study. And he said he didn't think we would have to do a traffic study, but that we might need to do an abandonment proposal of some sort. So he told me to contact the city attorney about that. So since the plan is now back on, I will talk to Mr. Rubus when he gets back and see what we have to do it's just that one little block there where a lot of people don't notice the stop sign, and I think it is a little bit of a danger and a kind of a goofy little thing. And if we could save some money with all the expenses of paving and be able to just have grass or even just a walkway with like long grass or something. I don't really have a plan for it personally, but it is something that we're going to try to move forward with this summer.
Okay, one other thing then on that, I would also, being that it's city right away and we'd be doing a city park or whatever, to try to not do any kind of abandonment of any kind, because we control that area anyway. And I was in 25 years, if traffic flow or something happens and they want to turn it back into a street, that it's everything still there. I think we can do what we're looking for anyway without having to do any kind of changing of official, but
I'll check with legal on it and then
So basically it'd be a little city park.
Right, yeah.
Maintained by the city and just taking care of the city park.
Mm-hmm. Just add to our 36 acres of parks.
Well, if we're trying to make Bell Street Bridge a destination for people, then we kind of need to stop some of that traffic.
Right.
People can eat, sit in the park, walk across the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's all that I had for the street committee. So I don't know if this is something to come forward to the council, because I think it's just a FYI for you guys that I
Just
don't-
in a little bit.
Yeah, and like I said, Frank will have more information on this than we do.
Well, the council wouldn't have to vote to eliminate a street.
If
I mean-
if it comes to
Yeah.
that, but I don't think, I might get the attorney's opinion by next Tuesday, but I have to post, I have to post the agenda tomorrow. So,
Well, and I don't think that would. need
We got
a
lots of
decision.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wouldn't need a decision until whenever, but
right, I think we need more input on it and legally and what Frank thinks, and I appreciate what you remember, Rhett. That's what's so nice about having some people with a long time on the council. You actually can't have some recall on these issues.
So does anybody else have anything for the street committee? Is there any public comment? Okay, then we will close the street committee at 4:13.
today we will open FUPR meeting at 4:13. This item number one is post police chief position of job service.
Yes,
And that is done.
I did do that yesterday. I got his resignation, which is in your packet there. What he provided to me, and so I was advised by the MMIA to post the position at the job service, so that's what we're doing. It'll be posted there for 2 weeks, and then we'll have interviews.
Does this pretty much put Chief Swisher, whole everything behind us then, or is there stuff that will be coming up later?
I don't know what would be coming up for us later because he submitted his resignation on his own free will. So I guess I can't really speculate what might be down the pike. As you could see in his letter, he thanks the city and for the support. So I don't anticipate anything else.
Okay. Two, or anybody have? So item number two, discuss the MOU draft and present to the committee.
Okay, the interlocal agreement with the Justice of the Peace and the City Court, I sent this over to the commissioners this morning for them to look at it. As I said, the city attorney isn't here right now, so he has not reviewed this. This is a first draft. It is a first step. We have, the rest of the year to get this hammered out. But when I began looking at this consolidation of the court, the information that I read said to give as much time as possible and that you would need at least 6 months. So this is just trying to make sure we have plenty of time to look at all the issues that might come up. I think that Mr. Center had a couple of suggestions that we might add, and I'm sure that the commissioners will have some input, but for right now, this is all I have, and it's just what I wrote. So I didn't get a comment back from the commissioners yet, and Mr. Rubus will be back tomorrow, and he can look at it. But I just thought bringing it forward to you guys in case you had ideas that you thought should be in there, or things maybe I shouldn't have in there. This is a compilation of the interlocal agreements that I took from Stillwater County, the city of Belgrade, the city of Red Lodge, and when Sydney combined their courts. So I tried to take the most pertinent parts of it that I felt that we needed, and I tried to keep it to 2 pages. But if we need to add more information and make it longer, that's okay too. I just sometimes find if it's brief, it might be easier for people to read it and understand it. So if you have any questions, I can sure answer them. Otherwise, we'll.
Oh, I think it's this side of the table, Dryden rubbed off on me. But just curious, not that it would even be beneficial because it probably would have been so old, but did we have, I mean, before we had city court, it was combined.
Yes, it was.
And so was there an old MOU from back then?
Possibly, but that would be in the basement somewhere. And I haven't located it. So as I recall, when I worked for the library in the basement of the courthouse at that time, before it moved to the bank building, the city court was right above the library. When you go downstairs to the library, and here was the city. So city court was in the morning and justice court was in the afternoon. And it was the same judge, Ed Williamson, did both courts. And I believe he was a part-time judge and paid part-time by the city, and he was a part-time JP and paid part-time by the county. So I thought about calling Ed because he's really got quite a sharp memory, and he could probably give me a lot of information about it, but I haven't done that yet. But if you think it might be wise, I could sure give Ed a call and see what he might recall about it. And if he might, and also there might be something over at the county too. I don't know. But I just thought we need to keep moving forward. This is to reduce duplication of services and to save the taxpayers some money. Because remember, the city residents pay for city court and they pay for justice court. So we're paying for two courts, everyone who lives in the city, when we're such a small population. And I do believe that one court would be sufficient for all of Dawson County. But
Yeah, I briefly talked to him like a year ago, and he did have a lot of information. So if you wanted to give him a call, I'm sure you could.
yeah, well, I just might. I don't think it would be a bad idea. And I know how to get a hold of him. So
Right? Yeah.
yeah, I do. Okay. I'll make myself a note on that. And if you have any other suggestions or concerns, you can just email me too. We don't have to spend a lot of time, I guess, on this draft document, but
Like fiscally, we have to start saving money where we can, where we can grab it, we have to do it. We have to get the reserves built back up.
Yep.
It makes sense, even if, it's a significant amount of money. It's not just a little bit of money that we're gonna be saving. It's gonna make a difference for us.
well, what I proposed is that we would pay for half the trainings. They're required to go to 2 trainings a year. So we would basically be paying for 1 training. We would pay for half the cost of the MCA codes. And then we would pay half the cost of incidental office supplies. And then we would offer once a year a payment of $30,000 to help pay for the wages and the benefits and of the clerk and as well as the judge. But there was something that I thought I'd forgotten now that I was going to talk about with it. Oh, we're still asking that all the tickets that are written by the police department will still come back to the city. So when I met with Stacy, who is the JP, and Jennifer, who is the clerk, Jennifer said she would like to have another computer screen so that when she's looking at tickets, she could keep the county tickets on one screen and the city tickets on another screen. And that's another expense that I said we would pay for, that we would furnish that monitor. So that seemed reasonable. So far, everyone's been very reasonable about it because remember, this is money that the county's going to get, so it's going to save the county taxpayers. But it is also saving the city taxpayers because we're paying for both courts. So we kind of get double bang for our buck, whereas the county people are just getting the little bit of money that we contribute. But the budget over there, and we did cut it this year, it's about 109,000. So I'm expecting with the training and with the office supplies that at the maximum, that's going to be like $10,000. Because most of the trainings seem to cost, like with the motel and everything, it seems to be around $600. But I don't know how much, like if they have to get a new copy machine and we would have to contribute to that. I'm not sure about that. That's why I wrote incidental, because I don't want to end up, buying new office furniture or things like that. But for supplies that they need to do this job, I think we're being fair. And I've been really impressed with the commissioners and with the judge and with the clerk that everybody seems to have the taxpayers' best interests in mind. And like Jason said, even if we only save half the budget, that's still over $50,000. And any money we can claw back into reserves is going to get us out of the hole. So we just got to, I guess, take a win when we get one, because I think that this could be a win for the city and the county.
Okay. Number 3, pool committee plans.
That is what.
Yes, I'm looking at your side of the table.
Well, these are such good ideas that Betsy presented. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but
Email them to us.
oh, good. So yeah, so if you just want to highlight some of these things, I think these are exactly what we were talking about, to try to have more fun activities at the pool, more family-oriented activities, and like a discount, or when a business would sponsor it, so that everybody can get in. Anyway, I thought these were all great ideas, and
you're thinking about mid-May that we need to have the fees figured out?
it would be nice, I think, because we're going to try to open the pool at the beginning of June, if everything works out. I just got an application for another lifeguard. I think I have 6 now. And then we've got the high school seniors coming. So I thought maybe some of them I could try to encourage them to apply at the pool, because we need cashiers and lifeguards and water instructors. We need people who can teach swimming lessons. So once we get the pool manager hired, then that will be kind of her job to recruit the people, train the people, and kind of figure out the scheduling. But as far as the fees, I'm pretty sure that John or Darcy can get you those numbers, and we can look at, because we're not going to make money on the pool, and it's never going to be a money-making thing. But I mean, I do want to try to, at least recoup some of the money for the chemicals and maybe some of the staff, but I really do not want to raise the rates. I just want to try to provide more opportunities for people to come, so that we can have more opportunities for revenue. And I thought having the float and watch a movie was great. I thought the night for teens would be great. The fitness and water aerobics for the whole family. The themed pool parties, like a luau night, superhero swim, kids versus lifeguard challenges. All of these were great ideas, and I think we'll just continue to expand on these and have some really great ideas and some fun nights at the pool.
Yep.
So anyway, you guys are on that committee, so have fun with that.
We just need to schedule a time to meet. Is what? That's good, then?
Yeah, I think Frank said that when he gets back, he's gonna get with Kevin and try to get us all together.
And the fees will be set by resolution, so it's not.
Right, so that won't be hard to figure out, and if we want to have a different kind of a swim pass, I know that I mentioned something about like a QR code, not that I know anything about those or how to use one, but that might be able to tell if the person who is presenting the pass is actually the owner of the pass. So, and maybe that's not such a big deal. Most people are honest about it, so.
Mainly, I'd just like that for tracking for future data, you know,
Mhm.
what we
Yeah,
gotta do for.
because we just don't have that this year. We don't know the numbers. We know how much money we brought in, but we don't have the records to know how many people used it or even to get an average. So we'll have to try to figure it out based on the financial reports.
Cool, all right. So number 4, update on our public records policy and forms.
Okay, that's in your packet. It's resolution number 3171, a resolution establishing fees for freedom of information requests and a requirement for prepayment. So that basically says that we charge $25 an hour, and printing costs or copying costs are 25 cents a page. And if there's any postage, the fee will be the actual postage cost. So I updated the public record request to say on the last sentence of the first paragraph that estimated fees must be paid in full before the city can begin the request. And then the second page records request form, I added on the bottom, there may be fees associated with the actual cost to copy the records and for staff time to complete the request. You must pay the fees before the request can be granted. The next page is just the clerk's notes to remind herself of what she's got done or whatever. And then I added the Montana code, which is 261006. That's 3 pages long. And then there's another code 261003, and that's security exceptions. If it's part of a litigation or it could be protected information. So that's I guess we'll need to bring this resolution forward to the council for us to vote on it. I've put for payment methods because we can take a credit card at the water window, but that's the only place. So I just said that it must be made in the form of cash or check if you're paying for your fees. I know that checks can be canceled and that there can be problems with checks, but normally, I mean, I've been in this position for 17 months. We've had record requests. We give people the records that they want. And like I said the other night, if it's under 4 pages or less than $1, we just give it to them. And the new rule is that unless it's a simple request, the request and all the documents must be put on the city webpage. So up to now, we have not had anything but a simple request. So we don't have any documents on our webpage yet. But when it is a bigger request, not a simple request, then we have to put the name of who requested it, what they requested, and we have to put all the documents that we gave them on the website. So that adds another step in there, which if it's a large request, is going to take some time.
This is nothing like other cities have these same exact rules.
Well, actually, I copied this from the Billings Public Records request.
Mhm.
If you look on at 261006, it's on the second page, letter E. It says that by November or 1 month after this section becomes applicable to an executive branch agency, whatever occurs second, that we have to, then it tells you all the things that we have to do. So we had to put it on our website. We had to, put on there what the fees were. We had to do all that. Well, when I did it, I just copied what Billings had, which said, if there is a fee, do you wish to be notified in advance? But after I talked to Rhett, the school makes you pay in advance, and then I talked to some other agencies, and they all make you pay in advance. So, we're just changing it to make sure that the payment is made in advance before we start working on a project like this.
Perfect. All right, that's good. Anybody else have any questions? Everybody in agreement, we'll bring that forward for, for voting on the resolution. Okay. Item number 5, discuss budget outlook and projected savings report. Kind of talked about some of that, but,
Yeah, I did put a little bit, I put a summary in there about, what occurred last year when I asked about consolidating the courts, and then, that we had many shortcomings in the budget, and that I began to research it. So when I called the Attorney General's office, they said that consolidation could happen at any time as long as everyone was in agreement. I thought an opportunity to save taxpayers money, that everybody would be in agreement, but when I talked to the city judge, she said that she wanted to complete her term. So one of the options had been that we could pay her salary for the end of her term, and I did offer her that option, and she said she wanted to complete her term. So after talking to the commissioners and the justice of the peace, we just said, we'll just wait and do it at the end of her term, because that's what she said. She wanted to complete her term, and so that seemed like the right thing to do. And since there wasn't another way to do it, we're just moving forward now because we need to start making plans. So I have that, and then the next thing that I have is, well, this was basically what Jessica got from the budget when Hunter Herbaugh asked for what the city court fines and forfeitures had been for 10 years. So this is from June of 2013 through June of 2023. And so you can certainly see that the numbers have gone down. And again, city court is not set up to be self-sufficient, and neither is a pool, and neither are the police, and of course, neither is public works for that matter. But what we have to look at is, when we're facing such a budget crisis as we were last year, and we're a little better this year, but it's still going to be a very tight budget, that we have to look at savings wherever we can find them. And when we have a duplication of services, when we have 2 courts, again, this just makes sense from a taxpayer standpoint, that we could save some taxpayer money. So I do have that, and then the next page is just the salaries. So with the salaries and the benefits, so remember, we pay into the public employee system, we pay into Social Security, we pay into unemployment, we pay into workman's comp. So it's about $87,504 for 1 year of salaries and benefits to city court for a part-time judge and a full-time clerk. So salaries and benefits are the biggest part of the budget. And this just I just kind of did the math on 4 months and 1 year and what it's going to cost us until the end of this year. So anyway, that's just information so that you know where we're at there.
Okay, anybody got any other questions on that? That's FYI, basically what. Okay. So item number 6, budgeting for lawsuits, basically.
Yes, we, the MMIA notified me that we did not have employee practice coverage, which is free. So John Center has been working on that, and I'm not saying that the former administration did this on purpose or whatever. This was during a time when there was a lot of upheaval and shortly before the director of operations had walked out. So I did attach the email where the former mayor asks about it, and the director of operations said, there's no cost for this coverage. We just need to apply for the endorsement. That got lost in the cracks or whatever happened, but I thought I'd better bring it forward now because we're in the preliminary stages of budgeting, and we're going to need to have some money to pay for lawsuits, it looks like, since, as you're aware, we were recently served with another lawsuit where they're suing the city and me individually. So the MMIA said we are not covered for that at this time. And I think even if we're able to get the endorsement, which is not simply a matter of checking the box, which I wish it was, it involves them looking at our employee policies and other things to look at what our liabilities could be, because those are the MMIA's liabilities if they choose to insure us. So it's a little bit more complicated, but Mr. Center has been working on it, and I'm very thankful for his input because he had a lot of good ideas, and we're moving forward, and I think we'll be accepted, but it'll just be a little too late.
So it should be noted, even if it did get lost in the cracks, that one or more of these lawsuits are brought on by people that knew that this coverage wasn't there.
Well, I can't really say that they knew because I'm kind of surprised at sometimes at what wasn't known or you know.
And just by looking at this email, the MMIA contacted, it just didn't get followed through. So maybe it did fall through the cracks, but it seems coincidental. Neither here nor there, we got to move forward. But
Yeah, we've got to have the money there, and then the next item is the same. When it was brought forward that I got a Freedom of Information request from the newspaper for some documents, and I responded back that, you know, tell me exactly what you want, because I don't have time to dig through 14,000 emails that are in the trash. And even Hunter Herbaugh said to me, you need to get those out of the trash. I was a little reluctant to mess around with anything that I hadn't done, because it seems like every time that we do something, we get criticized for doing something illegal, so I was kind of concerned if I tried to retrieve these, that it would look like I was doing something nefarious. So started out with 14,000 emails. When we got the IT guy here to recover them, there's 12,000 emails. And so he did recover those, but he had to put them on a terabytes. I don't know. It was just too big to save. So we have followed the record retention laws ever since I became mayor. We've not deleted anything that we were not allowed to destroy. I'm very aware of the record retention laws. I have them printed out in my office. I did that. I do think partly my background and being trained as a reference librarian taught me that you need to follow all the rules. So we have followed the rules. We've not destroyed any documents that are down in the basement. I know some people are out there saying, oh, the city's shredding all the documents. No, we are not. But I did want to make sure that we got that transferred, and because we had to call him in specially to do that, we're going to be billed for it. So we're going to have to, a budget transfer will come through when we get the bill, because I don't think I have the money in the mayor account to pay for it. And we'll pay it, but again, I feel like some of these things could have been prevented if there would have been better communication, and you can't change the past. So I guess it's kind of silly to wish that things could have been differently. We're dealing with the reality of the way things are. And so unfortunately, it's going to cost us a little bit of money, but it's not the end of the world. And I understand that the former mayor sent someone to the council meeting to explain to us what her thought process was with that. But irrelevant of what you thought, it's still wrong, and we had to fix it. So we have preserved those, and that's just FYI, because we will get the bill and we'll have to figure out how to pay it.
Okay.
I have a question going back to that endorsement. How long would that take to get? Does John know, or is there any time frame on that?
So we've had MMIA review the appointment policy, and I know we just did that back in January. And they're not really, I don't think any one of the changes they're recommending are significant. They're just clarifying some tweaks just to make sure escalation levels are clear and who's responsible for what, and just clarifying some things. So we made all those changes. We sent it back to MMIA. I did that yesterday. I am assuming that if they look at that and they are comfortable with it, then we can move forward with getting the endorsement. They didn't mention any other steps that we need to do. I don't know if there needs to be any kind of resolution or anything around it. I don't think so. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll hear back and at least know then what's the next step. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, or you must have a question, Rhett?
Oh, I blew them all. I dried and ran out.
All right, then.
Yeah, you guys all good?
Mhm.
So, I mean, basically, this is FYI anyway, except for, number 4. And, yeah, so is there any public comment?
All right, then.
Okay, no public comment, and I guess we will call this one good at 4:48.
All right, thank you.